Dolly hits the Mexican coast, dumping heavy rain. Next up, Edward, churning through the Atlantic at this hour. It's a stormy night across parts of the Northeast. We'll have the latest on the severe weather. And heat is flaring up across most of the West this weekend. These stories, plus in-depth forecasts and analysis, coming up in tonight's edition of Weatherscope.
Gina and I were just arguing about who was going to start. He made me, so I decided just to talk. Good evening. Thanks for joining us here at the Weather Channel. We're getting late. It's the late hours, you can tell, when I start acting crazy. My name is Janine Diadamo, and we've got a lot to talk about. Severe thunderstorms still in the Northeast, and also a very active night in the tropics, Gene.
And also in Texas, lots of heavy rain still going on.
That's
there.
right.
We'll tell you all about that. I am Gene Rubin, and the tropics are coming next. We're going to start with Dolly this morning. As it moved into Mexico earlier today, Dolly did make landfall just south of Tampico. It slammed into the coastline with heavy rains and 80-mile-per-hour winds. Streets in Tampico were littered with snapped trees and downed utility poles. Torrential rains accompanied Dolly's path. The town of Monterrey was plagued with flooded streets and canals, and there is still a concern about flash flooding and mudslides in Mexico. The tropics are very, very active. Boy, I haven't seen it this active since last year. I think last year we had 4 or 5 or 6 going at one time. Dolly not really going anymore. It's falling apart as it's moved over the mountainous terrain of Mexico, and that is good news, of course. It's pretty quiet in the Caribbean, in the Gulf of Mexico, the western Atlantic, but out here in the middle of the Atlantic, Edward, a minimal hurricane, winds up to 75 miles an hour, and close on Edward's heels, we have tropical depression number 6 just off the coast of Africa. Let's look at the whole world's perspective of what's going on right now. And here is Africa, of course. Here is Mexico, the United States. What's left of Dolly is over here. But it sometimes amazes me to see that, you know, these storm system, low pressure areas moving across this continent of Africa, half a world away, moves out into the Atlantic. These waves do, and they develop into tropical systems occasionally, and can eventually affect all the way over here in the United States. Amazing how small the world can be when you look at it on this kind of viewpoint here. Let's zoom into Mexico right now and see what's left of Dolly. Not much. It's not even categorized as a tropical depression. It's just the remains of Dolly at this point. But it is
busy tonight. We have our complete and detailed briefing for you 10 minutes till the top of the hour. In the meantime, we've got hot weather to talk about. It's wind damage tonight. Each blue dot represents an area that saw damage because of winds in excess of 60 miles an hour in some case. Many reports of trees blown over, power lines blown down, and also damage to homes and structures. So a lot of these dots you see are not hail. Most of them are wind damage. Also in Florida, west central Florida, a lot of reports of hail around 3, 4 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon today, and 2 tornadoes, one in Manatee County, one in Sarasota County. No damage has been reported thus far with these tornadoes. We go into the northeast and we find a frontal boundary. That's what has caused all these wind damage reports because of the thunderstorms that develop in squall lines ahead of the cold front. What we've got here is a boundary between cooler air filtering on out of southern Canada, warm and moist air being lifted here very forcefully. So we get our showers and thunderstorms developing. Right now, all the severe thunderstorm warnings have been dropped on these cells in eastern and Pennsylvania. They are tracking off to the southeast from Mercer County into New Jersey, westward into the adjacent counties here in Pennsylvania. We've had problems with flash flooding, so keep that in mind through the evening hours. These storms have produced anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of rain already, and they'll continue to do that from Burke County to Mercer County. Philadelphia, certainly the northern suburbs and central portions of the city getting the rain right now. You'll hear the thunder and see the lightning should you look outside, but it's best to stay inside at this time because of these thunderstorms. The showers of them could be quite strong and significant. We'll show you a radar right now out of this area. Bucks and Chester County here in eastern Pennsylvania under warning right now because of excessive rains. Over 2 to 3 inches have fallen, and more is on the way with some of these thunderstorms developing and then pushing over the same areas that already got them tonight. Also into New Jersey, Mercer County under flash flood warning at this time. And coming up in a little bit, the top of the hour, we've got information for you.
Stay tuned. An in-depth look at weather in the West, Alaska, and Hawaii is next in the Pacific Update.
Thanks for joining me. Because 48, not too difficult to find our cool front running from New England down into the lower Ohio Valley. This is slowly going to kick off to the east and the southeast, giving us a better day tomorrow in New England and the New York City area, but still a few showers down toward D.C. and down into Virginia. Here's an interesting shower that came on through Atlanta that postponed the Braves game again for a few hours, and there's your moisture swinging on in to portions of the west. But we're excited about the tropics tonight, so let's spin on into that briefly, show you Dolly's moisture, which has moved on into Mexico, but our real interest now, even though it's going to come to terms a few days down the road, Edward is the leading cloud patch here, coming off of Africa And TD number 6 is sitting back here just off the west coast of Africa. Both systems heading on westward. And again, full details in the tropical update 50 minutes after the hour. Just to let you know that this little conveyor belt of systems continues all the way west into Africa. Again, Edward heading out here into the Atlantic, heading on westward. But there are your disturbances coming across Africa. And as soon as they hit the Atlantic, we become very interested in them this time of year. All right, up next, your 5-day forecast.
Hawaii is next in the Pacific Update.